charges for the least offense, occasionally picking up the boy and hurling him across the room, and more specific, not even specific, it's more specific moments. He was satisfied to damn John Jr. as a sissy who was dumb and stupid, unless in the scheme of things, time the sissy portion of his groundless accusations would appear to be self-fulfilling prophecy. Born in March 1942 in Chicago. Oh God, March. I'm born in March. Oh, that's terrifying. Gacy grew up doubting his own masculinity and taking refuge from sports and other manly activities. Through precautious hypochondria, struck on the head by a swing at the age of 11, he suffered periodic blackouts for the next 5 years until their curse, a blood clot in his brain, was finally dissolved with medication. Boo! Boo! Screw that guy. Thus deprived of one affliction, he developed or imaged yet another, settling on the symptoms of a heart ailment that seemed to come and go depending on his mood. After graduation from business college, okay, period though. Damn. I wish I could do business college, what the fuck? Gacy became a shoe salesman. Better be some nice ass shoes, cause he was going to business college to sell shoes. Not me like dogging on his life right now. I mean, fuck him though. Fuck him, he's a piece of shit, but like, you know what I mean? But he had his sights set on better things. He married a coworker whose parents owned a fried chicken restaurant in Waterloo, Iowa. And Gacy stepped into a ready-made role as the restaurant's manager. He was a whiz kid on the job, belying everything his father had to say about his intellect and drive, ascending to a post of admiration and respect among the local JCs. His wife and friends were absolutely unprepared for John's arrest in May of 1968 on charges of why is my brain, I know what that word is, my brain's just not having it, like, okay. A young employee into homosexual acts, spanning a period of months. Those accusations were still pending when Gacy hired a teenage thug to beat the prosecution's witness, and more charges were filed. Striking a bargain, Gacy pled guilty to sodomy, and other charges were dismissed. Sentencing to 10 years in prison, he proved himself a model prisoner and was released in 18 months. Okay, you're telling me this guy gets sentenced to 10 years. 10 years. And he doesn't even spend 2 years and they let him go? What the hell, bro? Oh my god. He got released with state's permission. Gacy moved back to Chicago, where he established himself as a successful building contractor. Divorced while in prison, he soon remarried, settling in a middle-class neighborhood with suburban plain. He was popular with his neighbors and hosted elaborate holiday-themed parties. On the side, he was active in Democratic politics, once posting for photos with the wife of President Jimmy Carter, and, as we all know, as Pogo the Clown, performing in full makeup at children's parties and charity events. Few of his new acquaintances knew anything about the Iowa arrest, and those who heard a rumor were just assured that John had merely done some time for dealing in a little porn. Bro committed homosexual acts on a young boy, and people just was like, yeah, he went to jail for just a little porn, guys. Like, no, even if it was that, why are you letting kids be near that person? Like, what? On February 12th, 1971, Gacy was charged with disorderly conduct in Chicago on the complaint of a boy he attempted to rape. I don't like that word. I really don't like that word. If that comes up again, I'm just gonna say grape because it makes me feel better. That accuser, known to be gay, failed to appear in court for the Gacy's hearing, and the charges were dismissed. estimate, the first murder occurred less than 3 months later on January 3rd, 1972. The victim picked up at the bus terminal remains unidentified, but his death was a typical Gacy's feature approach. In searching for prey, Gacy sometimes fell back on the young. Now we switch to the other page. Friends and employees, but more often relied on trolling the streets of Chicago for hustlers and runaways. Like the hillside stranglers in Los Angeles, he would sometimes flash a badge and guns, arresting his intended victims as he would play as like a police officer. Others were invited to the Gacy home for drinks or a game of pool, but John would later show them tricks with magic handcuffs, later hauling out sex toys. When he was finished, John would do the rope trick, which was basically strangulation, and his victim would be buried in a crawl space underneath the house. Years later, he ran out of space downstairs as he started dumping the bodies in a nearby river. Planting corpses in the crawl space had its drawbacks, notably a rank, persuasive odor that the killer blamed on sewer problems. Gacy's second wife was also in the way, her presence limiting his playtime to occasions when she left the house or traveled out of town. When their marriage fell apart in 1976, Gacy was able to celebrate his program of annihilation between April 6th and June 13th, 1976. At least 5 boys were slaughtered at the Gacy's home, and there seemed to be no end in sight. On October 25th of that year, he killed 2 victims at once, dumping their bodies in a common grave. As time went by, his targets ranged in age from 9 years old, a 9-year-old child, to 29 to 20 years old, covering the social spectrum from middle-class teens to jailbirds and male prostitutes. I can not only imagine, like, what the families would have went through, especially, like, just imagine your child or your sibling just goes missing, and then all of a sudden you find out that someone who was just dressing up as a clown went and took your kid and killed them, or took your sibling or whatever. That's actually pretty crazy to think about, and it's pretty sad. Not all of Gacy's victims died. In December 1977, Robert Donnelly, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, was abducted at gunpoint, tortured, and sodomized in the Gacy's home of horrors. Then released 3 months later, 27-year-old Jeffrey Rignall, sorry if I said that wrong again, was having a drink at the Gacy's home when he chloroformed and fastened to the rack a homemade torture device similar to the one used by Dean Corll in Houston. Gacy spent several hours graping and whipping Rignall, applying the chloroforms with such frequency that his liver suffered permanent damage. Regaining consciousness beside a lake in Lincolnburg, Rignall called the police at once, but it was mid-July before they got around to charging Gacy with a misdemeanor. The case was dragging on. 5 months later, coincidentally, the allies he used when posing as a cop. So Jack, his little cop alter ego, he started blaming all of his murders on his other personality. Psychiatrists dismissed the ruse, and Gacy was convicted of 33 counts of first-degree murder in March of 1980. Life sentences were handed down in 21 cases covering the deaths that occurred before June 21st, 1977, when Illinois reinstated the capital punishment. 12 death sentences were imposed in the cases of the victims that were murdered between July 1977 and December of 1978. Over the next 14 years, Gacy remained a controversial inmate on death row. Abandoning the split personality defense, he now claimed the bodies unearthed at his home had been planted during his absence. Unknown conspirators. He described himself as the 34th victim of an insidious murder plot. He's literally over here blaming himself for taking the lives of other people. Say it with me now. Say it with me. What the flying fuck? With the true killer still at large by 1999, supporters in the curious could dial Gacy's personal 900 telephone number for a 12-minute the prosecution's case at a price of $1.99 per minute. Gacy also raised a storm of protests with paintings, mostly grinning skulls, sad-faced clowns that he produced and sold from death row as his appeals ran out. And time grew short. In 1994, the killer portraits were hailed as collector items, some of them selling as five-figure prices. Brisk sales were also reported for 2 published volumes of Gacy's prison correspondence with friends on the outside. Last-minute appeals failed to halt Gacy's execution by lethal injection on May 10, 1994. At the end, there were those who believed in Gacy's innocence, and others who suspected he may have had accomplices in the long run, aka like his last murdering spree, who still remain at large. The state of Illinois, meanwhile, was outraged at the murderer's celebrity announcing plans to sue his estate for reimbursement of the cost of the room and board, and occurred by Gacy during his 14 years on death row. And basically, that is what they talk about with John Wayne Gacy Jr. I think, truly, I don't understand how anybody could sympathize, but anyway, guys, that's all that this story says. Oh my god, look at how the book is bent so much that it's like, it's all messed up. It got some cool people in the front, not actually cool.